Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Just Talking About Sports. I'm Ethan.
I'm Matthew.
I'm Luca.
And what are we doing today, Matt?
Talking about sports.
Thank you. This is our basically 24th episode. We're going to be doing a tier list today where we're doing way too early NFL predictions. So we'll be able to look back at this and make ourselves see if we got any of them right. And since the NFL season's not starting for a while, we really want to talk about the NFL still, and there's no NFL news. We said, screw it, we're going to do a tier list of way too early predictions. So without further ado, let's get into it. Whoa, look at this.
We've evolved.
Alrighty, so obviously the first team we got up is the Cleveland Browns. So this is our tier list, though. We have our 0-3 teams, 4-6 teams, our 7-9 basically win teams, 10-12, and our basically the godlike teams, the 3-16 win teams. We've done our preparation for this, and we've got lots of different opinions on this, so it's going to be interesting. But we're going to be starting off with the Cleveland Browns. So where do you guys think it should go?
All right, I guess I'll take this first. I have Cleveland in the 7-9 wins. And the reason for that is because Baker Mayfield had a very rough season last year, throwing over 20 interceptions, has more progressive commercial than wins. And they still got Odell Beckham Jr. and Jarvis Landry and all that, but they still got some more evolving to do with their new coach and the guy from Minnesota. So they still need another year to develop. So I say 7-9.
I have it worse than that. I would probably say 4-6 because I do not trust what Cleveland is doing at all. I think that they brought in a good coach, but I think Baker is overrated as all hell. I think he has communication issues and connection issues with his wide receivers, and all he focuses about is the money he's getting in from Progressive, like you said. So I don't think the Browns are going anywhere. I think they're going to be worse than they were last year because I just don't see a connection with this team, and it's going to be a while before they're good.
Now, I've got some optimism compared to you because I know they are such a negative team, but people are forgetting they not only have Jarvis Landry and OBJ, but they also just signed Austin Hooper. Their offensive talent just keeps getting better and better. They have Nick Chubb as a running back if Baker can't do anything. They have all the offensive talent. Plus, they got plenty of rookies who are super young that they're bringing in for their defense. I see some type of optimism. 4-6, I don't see them getting anywhere near that. 7-9 would be probably 7-9 wins, or if not, I think a good 8-8 would be where they would finish. So that's why I have it in between the 7-9 wins. I think they're going to be a little bit better. They're going to start proving something to us, hopefully. Maybe have their first winning season in a decade. I don't know.
I'm not going to argue that. I'm willing to put them 7-9. I definitely think they're on the lower end of that because connection issues. That's really it.
Exactly. Darn Freddie Kitchens. But we'll move on to the next one, obviously. San Francisco just was in the Super Bowl. I'll start off with this one. I think I have them as another top tier. They didn't really lose that many people. I mean, they lost to Forrest Buckner, but they drafted one of the better guys in the draft for the defensive tackles, I believe, after they traded up for him. I think they are getting younger and they have something to prove. I didn't think they were going to win the Super Bowl because they didn't have the experience. But now that they have the experience and they have all these talents coming back, I think they're going to have a very good opportunity to return and even get a big 13 to 14 wins like they did last year.
All right. I respect that, but I have them in the 10-12 wins. Reason for that, obviously, you got the great defense they have. They got the great wide receivers they have. Of course, a great tight end, great coach. And however, the one problem they have is Jimmy G. Jimmy G is still developing. Sometimes he makes some very bad mistakes. In the Super Bowl especially, they were up, if we remember, in the fourth quarter. Jimmy G had a 2-point-something QBR in the fourth quarter. So we shall see where he goes, but I had them 10-12. I definitely think they'll be a respectable team again, but that's where I have them.
I have my concerns with this team. I'm with Luca here. And I just remember what the Bears were like last year and what the Jags were like 2 years ago after dominant seasons with their defense, but their offense was a little shaky. I'm very scared that this team falls off a cliff, but I still think that they're probably a 10-6, 11-5 type team. I just don't think they have the same impact that they did last year, especially considering the division they're in the NFC West that has really loaded up on some talent. But I think the 10-12 is appropriate for this team.
I see moving them down. I respect it. I think they're either a high 12 or a 13, so somewhere in between there. So
Yeah,
You
I
guys
have
can-
them. I have them going 12-4 this year. That's what I have them going.
they are definitely the top NFC team, no matter what anybody says.
You think they're the top NFC team out of all of the teams in the NFC? You think they're the
Really?
ones to beat again?
Yes.
Really?
And
I don't see it.
Interesting. All right.
Herman's there. He's going to be doing great.
All right. Let's
Okay.
move on to the Brady list now. Patriots.
Oh, we're gonna disagree on this one. I can already tell. Because I think you guys probably have them 7-9 or 4-6, depending on what you guys are thinking.
One of those that you said was correct where I have them. Yes.
Because I think they're right on the border for me between 7-9 and 10-12. It's the Patriots. I
Really?
don't care. Yeah, I don't care. I think it's the Patriots. Bill Belichick has something planned. It's always that team, and I don't think that they're completely done just yet. I think they have a little bit more firepower. I think they make the playoffs again for sure. It's just a matter of where you put them here. But yeah, I do think the Patriots have success this year.
All right, I'll tell you this. I disagree with you completely. I have them 4-6, and the reason for that is because we don't know what Jarrett Stidham even has yet. He has thrown 2 passes in his whole NFL career. They have a bunch of rookies that nobody even knows: Jacoby Myers, Matt LaCassie, the other guy. N'Keal Harry. That's his name.
There you go.
And you got the one known receiver there in Julian Edelman. So the problem is that the guys from last year, the rookies, Brady could never find them because they couldn't get open. So that has nothing to do with Belichick. That has to do with the players developing in their own way. So that's why I have them going 4-6, and they'll miss the playoffs for the first time in a long time.
People don't realize that the hardest schedule in the league, but usually when they have the hardest schedule, it's definitely harder to get a lot of wins. The Patriots happen to be lucky enough, as Brady, his first year leaving, or basically New England, they finally get the number one hardest schedule in the entire league. That includes all the teams that made the playoffs from last year and the returning. The AFC East is definitely strong because they're going to be versing both of the AFC and NFC West teams with both very good, resumes from making the playoffs last year. So having a rookie quarterback with rookie basically offensive weapons, except for Julian Edelman, like you said, is not really the basically recipe for disaster. They're not going to be as great as people think. I know it's Bill Belichick, and yes, they had the basically number one defense last year, and they still have plenty of weapons from that defense. But as we saw with Brady, if a quarterback can't play well, they don't really survive for that long. So I know they are definitely not a 10-12 team. I'm willing to put money on that. They are definitely in between 7 and 9 wins and the 4 and 6 wins. So I personally think that I'll give you the benefit of the doubt and put them in 7 and 9, but that's a 7-win or a 6-win team right there.
You'll sleep, and I hate the Patriots. Can we make this clear? I hate them with Look at my hat. I hate them with everything in my body, but they're not gonna just fall apart like this. I don't see it. You have Mohamed Sanu. You still have one of the top defenses in the league. Your special teams every year consistently succeeds. I do not see the Patriots falling yet. I'm willing to put them in the 7 to 9, but I don't want to put them any lower than that.
All right, we'll put them in 7-9 then.
Put them on the farther side of 7 and 9.
Okay,
right.
then.
Let's take a trip down the south, and let's talk about the Carolina Panthers and the new addition of Teddy Bridgewater.
I'll start this one because I think the Panthers are in deep doo-doo. I don't see this going anywhere. McCaffrey is a absolute beast, but I don't think Bridgewater is going to be anywhere close to a top 20 quarterback in the league. I really don't even see that. I think this Carolina team is going to have some serious issues. I think 5-11, 6-10 is where I see them. So in the 4 to 6 range.
All right. Well, we stand together on this one. We all love Christian McCaffrey. We know what he can do with the football. We know that he can block and do all that nice stuff. But Teddy Bridgewater, we all know he's a pedestrian quarterback. He's just a mediocre quarterback. We know the Carolina Panthers, since their Super Bowl run, they've been a piece of mediocrity. So that's why I have them 4-6. I don't see a big improvement whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, you guys basically said it all. I mean, Carolina is just going to be a very, very bad team. This is their build year. This is their tank year. They're going to tank for Trevor Lawrence. I don't know, whoever. They're going to tank for somebody, because if there's a year that they're basically in full rebuild mode after they got a new head coach, new quarterback. I mean, they still have Christian McCaffrey. It sucks for DJ Moore and McCaffrey because they're now basically very, very MVP-like talents, at least for McCaffrey. DJ Moore's still one of the better wide receivers, but the two of them are very, very great talents. Who knows if they might get traded sooner or later after they probably get angry with the whole situation and the bad season they're about to go through. Because it's never fun going through a very, very bad losing record team, like basically year. So as a Dolphins fan, I can understand that, but I don't see them winning anywhere above 5 or 4 wins. They're just going to be not the greatest team, no matter what people say.
I think they're probably very close to being the worst team in the NFC. I don't think they're the worst, but I think they're very close to being the worst.
Yes.
All right, who's next? We got Pittsburgh.
Yes, sir.
We got Pitt.
All right, who's starting this one?
All right,
I'll
so I'm gonna cut this out. Ethan, what we're gonna do, me and you will switch every 2 teams. So you'll do Pittsburgh, Minnesota. I'll do Seattle, Kansas City, and blah 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 blah. Okay. So go ahead and introduce Pittsburgh.
All righty. So moving on to Pittsburgh, the Steel City Steelers. They will be a little bit decent. Ben Roethlisberger is old. They got to figure out a way to move on from him. The man is decided to grow out his beard. That man should have just stayed out of the NFL and just continued growing his beard. So however many lengths that thing kept going, he just was super, super old. He did not look like he was a mobile quarterback, and especially nowadays, putting Ben back into this type of offense after he barely even played last year. He survived, 1 or 2 weeks and was out for the rest of the season. I don't think that's great. Their defense is still stacked. They will be there, but I still don't really see them winning many, many games with a little bit better AFC team. Like basically, at least their division is going to be a little bit better than it was last year. So I think they're either a very good a 7-win team or a 6-win team. So just in between those two.
I'm leaning towards the 7 to 9 range. I think that the Steelers are going to have some issues again. I think Ben Roethlisberger should be gone, but I don't think their quarterback situation will affect anything. If it's Mason Rudolph, if it's Duck Hodges, if it's Big Ben, it doesn't matter to me. I think the record does not get affected. So I would say probably 7 to 9 range is where I would go. I think they're a 7 to 9, 8 and 8 type team.
Yeah, I can't disagree with what you just said right there. Like you said, they have a quarterback situation in which they're getting old. We got Mason Rudolph, who got slapped on the head last year with the helmet. That's all we know him for. And then we know Duck Hodges. So they were still a really respectable team last year after losing their quarterback. James Conner went down. And they still have a very good Juju Smith-Schuster. They still got Vincent McDonald. They're still a very good team. They still got a good defense, so that's why I have them within the 7-9 wins.
All right, so I believe we should put them in the farther right side of the 7-9 wins, along with New England, because screw New England. But we'll move on to the up north where we go to Minnesota, where
Minnesota.
The Vikings. They are in that NFC North division where there's plenty of talent, teams looking to make the rise as that NFC North or basically division just constantly keeps changing who is like basically their champ or basically wins the division, as the Bears, Vikings, and the Packers. No one cares about the Lions. Those 3 teams are basically always in it. So I think the Vikings, no matter they did lose lots and lots of talent, I still think they're going to be a 7 to 9 team. They're going to be mediocre at best. They're not going to win the division, but they're going to snag a few games from Chicago or Green Bay, and obviously 2 from Detroit. But I think that they are definitely in that range of 7 to 9.
Well, as much as I hate to say this, yeah, they lost a couple of pieces. Yeah, they're a team that has a great defense. I have them winning 10 to 12 games again. It's Minnesota. You can never count them out. They got a great coach, great defense. You got mediocre Kirk Cousins. You just can't play Monday Night Football because otherwise they're going to lose. But
yes,
you still got a great piece in Adam Thielen. I mean, yeah, they lost Stephon Diggs, but they received some picks for that. And you can never just count them out for some weird reason. And Kirk Cousins just got paid another big payday. He somehow always surprises the NFC North with his talent. So I wouldn't shock. I mean, I obviously have them in the 10 wins, not the 12 wins, but I see 10 wins out of them.
I'm leaning towards the 7 to 9. I think that I can definitely get behind what you're saying, but without Diggs, I don't think the Vikings are anything more than a mediocre team that's on the bubble of third wild card to no playoffs. I don't see them being anything better than that. They might be. They might surprise some people. I just don't see it.
All right. I can see your guys' point.
I think put them ahead of New England and Pittsburgh.
Yeah. I just got to figure out how to change this. Oops.
It's not that hard.
There we go. All right.
Yeah, for those of you who are at home wondering why we have to put them in order, we're trying to just see if we can put the 7 to 9 teams the further to the left if we think they're going to win closer to 9, and the teams on the right closer to 7. So that it's very accurate, and it's sort of like a power rankings, but in a tier list format.
Thank you, Matt. Head up.
Let's go to a team that I have watched for some time now, all because of Russell Wilson. So let's travel to Washington State, where Pete Carroll has been the coach for some time now. Where do you guys have Seattle Seahawks?
I think Seattle is a 10-12 team. That NFC West is just unbelievably stacked with players. I mean, I thought last year Seattle was done for after they started losing pieces and Russell Wilson was done. And then magically Russell Wilson said, nah, I'm going to drink from the fountain of youth and continue going ham on the rest of the league. And he's kept winning. And he just barely missed the playoff with them. But they still looked like a really legit team, basically snagging a few wins out of some of the better teams in the league. I'm pretty sure they beat New England last year. I don't remember exactly, but they were very, very good. And I have them obviously at 10-12 wins.
Yep.
I agree with that. Oh, sorry. You want me to go?
No.
All right. I think that the Seahawks are definitely a 10-12 as well. We're looking at the same situation we had last season. I think they're a very similar team to the 49ers. They're going to be very successful on offense mainly because of what they have going with Russell Wilson and an elite receiving core where DK Metcalf is really going to make a jump this year. We saw him really improve towards the end of the season and in the playoffs. Metcalf will be a big boost for them this year as well. I think, and Tyler Lockett, let's not forget about him. But I think that the Seahawks are a 10-12 win team or even towards the 11-12 range. I think they're going to be really good.
Yeah, both of you bring up very good points. It's very hard to disagree with what any of you said. I'll add this part, though. If they could get Chris Carson to be healthy for the playoffs, it would be very nice to see Seattle make a playoff run because every time they're in the playoffs, somehow, some way he gets hurt along with Rashawn Penny. So it would be nice to see them get further in the playoffs. With the Russell Wilson comment, Matt, what you said, you can't disagree with that. They have great players, and like you said, Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. I really like what they have going on for them. So easily 10 or 11-12 win team for sure.
All right.
How about we go to the Super Bowl champions from last year and Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs?
All right. I think they're going to go 11-5, 12-4. They're going to be really good, but I've said this for so long. I said it last year too, and I was wrong last year. I think that the Chiefs defense really needs to step it up. They've built pieces, but they are so weak sometimes in pass coverage that they can't get anything done against some of these slinging quarterbacks. And you got guys on that side of the AFC now where they're not as strong in the quarterback position, but you got a guy like Lamar Jackson who will torch Kansas City. I guarantee it. You have a guy like him. You have a guy like I would not really put Josh Allen there. We can talk about that at another point.
No, man.
But we'll deny that one for now. I think that the Chiefs are not going to be the top seed in the AFC this year. That's a fact. I don't think they're anywhere close to number one. They may not even be number two, but the Chiefs will definitely be something on offense that is always going to be entertaining. Their defense needs help, and until they get that, they're not a top-tier team.
Yep, I have them 10-12 wins as well. They won the Super Bowl and all. Surprisingly, their defense got better in a matter of time. I'm not sure how that happened, but it did. You can never deny the offense is just fantastic. You got Patrick Mahomes, you got Tyreek Hill, you got Travis Kelce and the crew. You can't deny how great they are. Yes, the defense, it needs to be consistent every game. Or like you mentioned, someone like Lamar Jackson is going to stop on you with their short little sling passes in their running game. It's definitely going to be hard to be the best team again within the AFC. So in that case, I do have the Ravens being the next, the top seed again, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, 10-12 for me.
Y'all forget about what Kansas City's defense did. They stopped King Henry.
I didn't forget. It happened.
Playoff King Henry. You don't give enough credit to this defense. They also basically stopped the entire 49ers three-headed monster rushing offense in the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl, too. They were able to stop the run with ease. Yes, their pass coverage may not be the greatest, but they were able to stop two of the best running offenses in the entire league. This is a defense that's full of no-names, and I really do believe this is a 13-16 team win. Kansas City did not lose anybody. You hear this? They lost nobody. They only gained more pieces, and they're just going to continue rolling as long as Patrick Mahomes is quarterback.
I don't like how they're one-dimensional, though. I don't like how I feel as though they are a strictly offensive team.
Well, who's stopping them? Who are they losing to?
Who is stopping them? There are two teams in the AFC that have not only good chances, but great chances at stopping them.
But if there's two teams, then that's only two losses. Still 13.
That's only two losses. I'm saying two teams that are better. I'm talking about you got to consider the Chiefs in division.
We're talking about
you're always going to choke something. You're always going to choke something in the division. You just don't sweep the division like that easily. These are always fluid games, and you're not going to win every time.
It's really hard. It's also really hard to replicate success from the year before. It's good because scouts are tracking how they want and all. They're going to be stopped somehow. Mahomes is going to be stopped soon. There's no way he can keep doing what he did last year. There will be a defense that will figure out what he is doing.
Yes, agreed, 100%.
Notice how you said a defense.
Yeah, of course, like some defenses, like not every defense is great and all, but a defense like Baltimore, will definitely swallow him up eventually. So you have to put
agreed.
Now, obviously, you have a good point there, Ethan, that not every team in the AFC is like all that. Of course not. But to replicate a 13-something win again, that's definitely going to be very hard to do. And what happens if someone gets injured, like Travis Kelce? We don't know. That's the thing. There's so many unknowns. It's hard to put them in a certain category. Of course, I think they're going to be good again. Of course, they just won the Super Bowl championship and they barely lost anyone. Yeah, I get that. But to replicate the same success is the question. Can they do it?
Right, and I'm the same here. I think that they are going to be very, very good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they're going to be bad. They're just not going to go 13-3 or better. It's just not going to happen. It's so hard to repeat that success back-to-back years, and with a defense that just isn't top caliber. They definitely were showing signs of life at the end of last season, but they're just not going to repeat that again. There's just no way. Can we put them in 10-12 and move on? Put them on the left side of 10-12. They're going to be very good.
Then who do you have? Is there anybody in the 13-16 tier where he's going to leave it empty?
Yes.
We got it. I have at least one, and I'm on the fence with another.
All right, Ethan.
We'll figure that out later. But
all right, Ethan, take us away with the next team.
Before we go, I'll do another quick pause. Y'all realize at the rate that we're going, this is going to be more than an hour.
Oh, I know.
Do you want to split this video into two parts for both of us? We split this into two parts on our channel. We go through the first 16 teams. We pause, and that's part one of our video. And then we go to part two, and this is what we do today, and we do something else on Thursday or Friday.
I think Thursday I am available, so Thursday will work out. Yeah. Does
that work for you, Ethan?
I'll see what I'm doing Thursday, but I think this is going to take a while, so we'll figure out.
But we've only done what? 8 teams? Jeez.
Yes. We are 20 minutes in, and we've done 8 teams.
Well, there's also
speed it up a little bit, people.
Yeah.
This next one should not take long. I would sincerely hope not. So let's at least try and speed this up. Also, quick question before we go again. Is my lighting okay here? Or is it a little too dark?
Yeah,
you're a little dark.
All right, I can turn the light real quick. Hang on.
Ta-da! We've got light.
There we go. That's better. All right.
Makes you look human. All right.
Thanks.
All righty. So for Detroit, the absolute garbage franchise, and they will continue to feel bad for Matthew Stafford, but this team has 3 players on their team. That's Matthew Stafford, Kenny Golladay, and Kerryon Johnson. That's it. You can maybe throw a good Marvin Jones in there. Could not tell you anybody else on that team because they're just straight garbage. I have them at very close to a 0-3 or a 4-6.
I have them in the bottom, the absolute bottom. I think they're going to be the worst team in the NFC. They have nothing, genuinely nothing. I think that this team is going to be destined for near hell. This is not a team that's going to compete in very many games at all. I have them 3-13, the second worst team in the league.
Yeah, can we talk about how Jim Caldwell was fired because the team was a solid 8-8 and they hired Matt Patricia? What has he done necessarily to help this team? Absolutely nothing. Nothing. And that's why, of course, it's not hard to agree with you people. 0-3 wins. It's Detroit. When was the last time Detroit pleased us? Never. I mean, I remember the one season they were 10-6. But it's the Detroit Lions. Yeah, they have Matthew Stafford. He's going to be out of there soon because Matthew Stafford has stuff to prove, and we all know he can prove stuff to other teams and be helpful. There are teams that can use a quarterback like Matthew Stafford. He does not belong in Detroit.
No, he does not. They need to be done.
I feel bad for Matthew Stafford.
Poor Matt. Not poor me, but poor Stafford.
Alrighty, so time to fly, Eagles, fly, baby. I think this Eagles team is very optimistic. Carson Wentz is obviously injury prone, but they now have a backup in Jalen Hurts that may have a chance to save them once they go to the playoffs because he's got another funny name that may lead him to a meme quarterback in the playoffs, kind of like Nick Foles did. Now he got Jalen Hurts. Obviously, it's got Hurts in his name, so now that Carson Wentz can't get injured. So I have this team. They also got plenty more options. They did lose. I'm pretty sure they got Darius Slay after losing Malcolm Jenkins, so that's like basically didn't lose anything there. So their defense still stays the same. Their offense still has a few weapons. Wide receiver-wise, still concerns me, but I think that despite that, they are at least a 7-9 team.
I'm going to surprise here. I think they're 10-12. This is going to be a good team. I think they've built a very, very strong offense. If Wentz can just stay even a little bit healthy, though, they'll be better. But at least they have a serviceable backup and a guy that we know can make plays in Jalen Hurts, which you said. I think that's a huge difference for Philly with the way that Wentz gets injured. They have the biggest problem on their defense was solved. Now they have a guy in Darius Slay who will fill that defense. I think that is a possible top 10 defense in the league now with what they've built. I don't really think you can argue that either. I think that this team is going to surprise a lot of people, and everybody may be saying Dallas is really good. Watch out for Philly in this division.
Yeah, I mean, they fixed their secondary, Darius Slay. Yep, we get that. The reason I have them within 7-9, I have them a 9 for wins this year. The reason I have that is because their offense is old. It's just getting older and older, and I have Carson Wentz, in my opinion, he is definitely a top 13 quarterback. Carson Wentz is maybe top 15 if you really put him there. But the point is, Carson Wentz, if he can just stay healthy, this team has a chance. I remember the year he went 11-2 and got hurt. Carson Wentz was a legit MVP candidate that year. But, of course, he got hurt. And then Nick Foles gets all the credit that they won the Super Bowl and all. But the problem is he didn't play a full season there. I didn't see Nick Foles start the season. I saw Carson Wentz. And if Carson Wentz would have won, people would have a different perspective on Carson Wentz. So 7-9 because the offense is just getting old. They got coming up pieces, but they got to develop first. So that's why I have them there.
I have no argument to that. Let's put them on the furthest left here. I think they're probably the one that we can agree is closest to 10.
They are 9, yes.
Where am I putting them on the left or the right?
Yeah, left.
They are 10 times better than Cleveland, all right?
All right, so where do you want me to move Cleveland?
There you go, perfect. Right there. That
right
works.
there? Okay.
Yes, sir. We have to let Ethan start this.
How about this? Sadly, Ethan doesn't get to say this because we're taking turns here. Fins up, baby. We're going to go to South Beach. So, Miami. Where do we have Miami?
I'll let Ethan start.
Tank for Tua. We'll have to wait one more year, ladies and gentlemen. I don't want Tua to make – at least I don't want to see him at the start of the year. There's so many media people going across the internet saying, oh, Tua should start week 1. That's just people trying to create the story and people to get some clicks or something like that. Tua is not going to start. Just like I told you, the Dolphins are going to select Tua after all this talk about they're going to get the guy from Oregon. Oh, they're going to try and draft somebody else. Oh, they're going to draft back. Oh, they're going to draft some defensive player. No, they were going to draft Tua all along. They just pranked the whole entire media world, and they got him. I think Miami has some type of optimism, though. Yes, now that they got Tua, they have plenty of more options. They're a sleeper team to win, I think, at least. I'm being optimistic here. At least 7 games. They have a sleeper chance to sneak their way into maybe in the playoffs. I don't know, with this new additional playoff spot for teams to make it, because especially with the AFC being very, very weak this year, they could definitely snag a few wins. But they, in my opinion, I see a 6-10 win, or 6-10 or 7-9 team.
I'm leaning towards the 7-9. I think that the Dolphins are going to they're going to start with Fitzpatrick and finish with Tua. I think he's probably have first. Yeah, I'm going to give him 7 games. I'm going to give Fitzpatrick 7 games to go 2-5, and then I'm going to give Tua 9 games to go around 500, 4-5, 5-4. I think that they are in a good spot with Tua. It's just going to take a year. I have them in the 7-9.
Yeah, I also have them in the 7-9 because I got to say, the job that Brian Flores did last year in Miami, and we all thought they were going to be the worst team in history, I believe 5-11 is not bad for a team that was predicted to be the worst in history.
Agreed.
Yeah, I mean, you got Tua now. They got a great franchise quarterback. The last one I believe that was great was Dan Marino, and we don't even talk about how long ago that was. But, yeah, Devontae Parker, he was a surprise. I didn't realize he was that good until I really got to see him. Kenyon Drake, great running back. They got
Not there.
great – huh?
Not there anymore.
Oh, oops, I just got that out.
We didn't have a running back.
Damn it.
We had 4 running – or we were on our 4th.
I'm sorry. There's too many running backs.
That's the
All
one
right,
weakness they have, though. In all seriousness, the one weakness they have is
What do you mean? We got Jordan Howard and Matt Breida now.
Thank you. That was, I think, Jordan Howard. Okay.
There you go. Yeah, that's my bad.
There we go. All right. So, yeah, let me resume that. Jordan Howard's a pretty good running back. He was from the Bears. He still has a lot in his tank, so I definitely see him being a big productive effort in Miami. And then their defense improved over free agency in the draft, so I definitely see a 7-win team here for sure. They can sneak their way into the playoffs with the new CBA in place.
Yeah. All right, let's put them on the right here, though. I don't see them being better than New England. To each his own. I would say, yeah, I put them right there.
The New England.
You're
All
up.
right, here we go. New Orleans.
Go ahead, Ethan.
All righty. Now back to the New Orleans, where Drew Brees has decided to come out of semi-retirement after he was all ready to retire. He's finally back for one last year, kind of like the last dance of Michael Jordan's thing. It's beginning to look like, as might be Drew Brees' final year as the quarterback in New Orleans, and they have all the pieces that they need this year. They have all the talent that they had. They had Michael Thomas, who just came off a wide receiver record-setting year with all the yards that he got. The offense is absolutely explosive. Their defense has things. Obviously, what we're talking about doesn't include playoffs, so they're definitely going to be up there in the higher tiers because we don't have to talk about playoffs because they always choke. But we're going to be talking about wins here. I have them either 13-3 or a good 12-4. Definitely very, very high in wins. I have them as basically just as good as the Chiefs or the 49ers, just between them, or if you want to put them up in the 13.
2 words: chemistry issues. I think we're going to see it. Maybe not for the whole season, but for I would say a good month. We saw what was going on with. We talked about this yesterday. Was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday.
Yeah.
We talked about this yesterday about how the whole Drew Brees thing with the Black Lives Matter movement is going to cause some locker room issues. I think it's going to take them a while to get situated. They are not going to be 13-3 or better this year. I think they're an 11-5 team right down there. They're going to be good, but they're going to struggle early.
Yeah, Matt, I'm glad you mentioned that because I have the exact same perspective in you on this. What happened with Drew Brees and the team, it's really tough to come out in the season and act like nothing happened. It happened.
It did.
It happened. It's going to be very tough to repeat what they set last season. Yeah, you got Michael Thomas and you got Emmanuel Sanders now there. You got Alvin Kamara, and of course you got Drew Brees. But the problem is it's going to be those first couple of weeks to get everything in place. We all know Sean Payton. He's a great coach and all. We know what Drew Brees can do with the football and all. I have them 12 wins this season and 12 wins and 4 losses. I mean, there are definitely some teams in the NFC that could beat them for sure. You put Seattle and San Francisco in there, they can definitely do it.
No, Seattle can't beat New Orleans. I'm sorry.
Oh, yes, they can. I know they can.
Yes, they can. Yeah, we do not have to go there.
Seattle You
So you're telling me
Seattle's
you're going to be
about
putting New Orleans ahead of or behind Seattle? Is that what you're telling me?
Oh no, I'm putting
No,
New
no, no,
Orleans
no,
right
no.
in between
No,
San
no, no.
Francisco
Okay,
and
thank
Seattle.
you. I'm just making sure.
I'm just saying Seattle can beat New Orleans. That's what I said.
Yeah.
Not better than Seattle, though. No. Or,
I'm putting
sorry,
them in the
Seattle's
middle
not
here
better
between
than
San
New Orleans.
Francisco and Seattle. That's where I'm putting them here.
All right,
I
so
think-
we putting them right here?
Yeah.
Perfect. Oops. There. All right, guys. We've had a couple episodes this break that we've had from school. We've had a discussion about the coach, and Ethan had his epic rant. Loved that. Let's go to Houston and talk about the Texans.
Can we just put them on the bottom and move on?
I would love to.
Honestly, you want to put a team in the bottom, let's just do it. I think that this team's going to be horrible. Deshaun Watson may be good and all, but I don't think this team has anything going for them right now. Losing Hopkins, it was a huge, huge hurt. I don't think people realize how massive of a difference that's going to make this team. This team went from AFC South front runners to they're with the Jags. I think they're going to be really bad. Whether you put them in 0-3 or 4-6, it doesn't matter to me. They're going to be terrible.
Yeah, I have them 4-6, and the reason for that is because I don't see Houston just winning 3 games. They'll probably get 4 at most, in my opinion. Bill O'Brien, we need to accept the fact, everyone needs to accept the fact, he made a bad mistake. You trade DeAndre Hopkins for a draft pick and someone that has a horrible contract. And then you try to fix your issues by getting Randall Cobb. Randall Cobb, the last time I checked, is way past his prime. So this is not even fixing the issues. And now you have Deshaun Watson basically by himself with Kenny Stills and Will Fuller. I don't care what people say. That is not DeAndre Hopkins whatsoever.
Nope.
Yeah, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt with you guys. Obviously, Houston or Deshaun Watson won't let them lose or basically win only 3 games. I see him 4 or 5 games at most. So put him at the very back end of that 4-6 tier.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go to Atlanta, a team that we know has been consistent and inconsistent multiple times throughout seasons. Last season, I believe they finished 5-2, if I'm not mistaken, and where Matt Ryan has been the king for years now.
I don't see them doing anything better than a solid 7 or 8 win season, though. I don't. This Falcons team, they're good. They've got a lot of good pieces on offense. Todd Gurley definitely helps the situation in the running game, even though they did get rid of Devontae Freeman. You have a guy in Julio Jones, one of the most reliable receivers in the NFL. Matt Ryan is still a top half quarterback in the NFL. They have a very strong offense still. Their defense is not, and that is a problem. They're going to be okay. They're not going to be anything special. They're going to be right down the middle. They're going to be that team that nobody really cares about watching, but they know that they have a chance of beating any team at any given point.
Very well said. I mean, Atlanta is going to be mediocre at best. They'll be a 7-9 team. They'll be basically sneaking under the radar. They'll start off with like a good few first few wins, and they'll be like, oh, Atlanta's have a chance, and then they'll start losing a bunch of games, and they'll forget about them, and then they'll win a Sunday night game against like a top tier team like New Orleans or Seattle, just pulled out of their butts kind of, or just whatever they want, and then they'll just go back into their mediocrity again like they usually do. And I just see them being stuck in that 7-9 tier. Just put them right smack dab in the middle, like just ahead of New England, but right behind Minnesota. That's where I see them.
Yep, I can't disagree with any of you. We all know Atlanta and their issues. I believe last season they began the season, I think it was 1-6, 1-5, something like that. And there were rumors talking about Dan Quinn was going to be fired and Matt Ryan was going to be traded and all. Like this team, we know they are inconsistent constantly.
Yes.
They just
Yes.
lost Austin Hooper in free agency, correct? Right?
Yes, that's a big loss for them too.
Yeah, we all know they have Julio Jones. They just got a new running back in Todd Gurley. We know this. But the problem is, like Matt said, their defense is not good. We all know what Matt Ryan can do, but when you don't have the correct pieces around you and when you don't have a good defense, you can't win. So, Ethan, I like where you put them. You said behind Minnesota, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. right.
Here we are, Baltimore.
All right, so moving on to Baltimore. Obviously, they just continue to add more and more pieces. They are the absolute powerhouse, in my opinion, of this NFL league, if there's any team. Lamar Jackson, as last year's MVP, put on a show with all his moves. Mark Ingram is still returning. He's still got his running back skills. They've got wide receivers coming out of their ears as they continue to draft more and more of them. Their defense is just unfreaking believable. Unbelievable the amount of people that they have on there. And they just decide, we're just going to just usually add Walter Payton Man of the Year, Calais Campbell. Well, they're just going to keep adding more and more people like this. Like, just keep adding to the defense. Like, they didn't need anyone better. And they just said, we're just going to add Calais Campbell to the mix. It's like, okay, how much better can this defense get? It's just unbelievable. I see them as obviously a 13-16 win. There's no team that better deserves to be up at that top team than Baltimore.
Well said. I think they might go 14. I think this team is unbelievable. If you want a team that is – I think that this is going to be a very good year with a lot of teams that are right there in the middle of the mix, and you kind of see it already building in our tier list. Yeah, there's one team that stands above everybody this whole year in my eyes. I think it's the Ravens, and then it's everybody else. Ravens are the clear-cut favorites to me, and I think that they deserve to be in that top tier, 100%.
Yeah, I'm not sure I don't know if you disagree with this. I'm not sure if you're falling asleep or you had too many brewskis. I don't know what's going on with you. But yeah, Baltimore is a top tier team this year for sure. The only thing, I know we're just talking about wins here, but they need to prove themselves in the playoffs this year. They have to, or we cannot keep them serious any longer. Lamar Jackson is something. When Joe Flacco got hurt and Lamar Jackson came in, he was like the upcoming of Gandhi. I don't even know what was going on, but he was something. I remember in Baltimore, I believe they were 2-2 at the time when they lost to Cleveland, and all of a sudden couldn't lose. They were something. They got Marquise Brown. They got Mark Ingram, like you said. They just got Dopkins in the draft. They got triplets now. They got the triple trouble now in Lamar, Ingram, and Dopkins. So it's going to be something. So, yeah, 13-16 for sure. Can't disagree.
There you go. I think this might be the only one, too. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right, so moving on to our final team of our part 1 of episode, because we've just reached our halfway point, we'll be talking about the Tennessee Titans. So the Tennessee Titans last year surprised a lot of people as they were seen as a mediocre team with Tannehill leading the reins and basically King Henry, Derrick Henry, the running back, deciding that he's just going to go explosive and just go ham in the playoffs. Well, for me, I saw that as a fluke. I think that next year they will figure out this whole system. Derrick Henry only plays good in the playoffs, and we're not talking about playoffs here. So we'll be talking about, I think, a good – they will make the playoffs again this year, probably. Don't get me wrong, but they will be in that 9-7, 8-8 tier where they will still be a wild card team and a wild card, or they will win their division with a few wins, if that.
Oh, I disagree with that statement wholeheartedly. I think the Titans have figured their whole situation out, and they're going to be really, I think, something to watch. Tannehill, you continue to hate on Tannehill all you want. I think he's proven himself. Derrick Henry will probably still run this offense and run the show. Tannehill is going to be behind closed doors, whatever. I still think that the Titans right now are in a position where, especially considering the division they're in, they are going to clean the AFC South, and it won't be an issue. It's strictly because of the division they're in that I have them in the 10 to 12 range.
Disagree with you. Yes, they're going to win. Of course, they're going to win the division. No one even in that division now is even close to being ready to win. So, of course, you got to have Tennessee win. But the problem with Tennessee is, yes, Ryan Tannehill had a great year. Remember, though, he did not start the year. Marcus Mariota did, and he got benched and is now gone. So we need to take into consideration here, he did not start the year. Yes, he played good, but the whole team was shadowed with Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is the leading face of this franchise. It is not Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill played very well. Did he deserve all that money? No, he did not. He maybe 2 years, I would say, is the contract he deserved, because if that is a fluke year, Tennessee has a lot of money to chew up if that's the case. I definitely like where they're heading for sure, though. I have them a 9-7 team this year, just like they were last season. They got a couple of good players on this team, and I believe they had a couple injured last year, so wouldn't be surprised. Their defense was a surprise as well. They were able to stop the Baltimore Ravens last year. I don't think anyone expected that. They stopped Lamar Jackson, I believe, in the playoffs themselves. I think they only had 30, 50 rushing yards. That's insane. No team could stop them, but somehow, some way, the Tennessee Titans did. So 7-9, the defense will be good. Offense, we'll see what happens, but I do have faith in them.
Are we putting the Titans in front of the Eagles, though? Because I think that they're a level above everything else.
They are better than the Eagles.
Yeah, they're better
than the Eagles. So they will be the first team in the 9, or basically 7-9 wins, because they are probably the most 9-7 team win. So that's where I believe they are. But this obviously concludes our first half of our tier list. We like going on long spiels about each team and proving why they deserve to be there. So we will continue our next tier list in the next video, so look out for that. But without further ado, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.
Later, everybody.
Later.